Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the BB-Scho. As always, I'm your host, Beebs, joined by my co-host, Chen, and we're here to talk about some playoff football. It's finally that time of year. It's the playoffs. Playoffs. We're here.
Playoff?
We're here for the playoffs. Wild card recap, divisional preview, and that's all we got on the docket. Nothing too crazy. So let's just rewind. We'll dive right back in. Saturday afternoon, 38-year-old Joe Flacco going against 23-year-old CJ Stroud on wild card weekend, the wild card opener. Texans get the handy, the handful. What's the word I'm looking for? The power, the statement win. Your
Yeah,
thoughts?
yeah, I know. Man, I would say my initial thoughts was like disappointment. I mean, this was the opening game to our Super Wild Card weekend, and sitting there watching, I just well, if you're a Ravens fan, I mean, you're kind of loving Joe Flacco right now. Kind of felt like he played the double agent role on Saturday, especially after the one pick six. I was like, okay. This guy is showing his age. But in all, seriousness from the Browns like perspective of things, as bad as that was, you have so many guys returning next year. I mean, they changed the identity of this team mid-season and still managed to become a playoff team. They went from Nick Chubb, run heavy, Deshaun Watson option plays to Joe Flacco throwing it 50 times a game with really no running game to be found. It was,
Air raid
in my
offense
eyes,
mid-season.
yeah, like I've never seen that, and I mean, when I look at like the Steelers, Matt Canada, and what he did for years, like it's very interesting to me the how kind of far ahead some coaches appear, and when we'll talk about the Eagles, but Nick Sirianni may not even be the mastermind over there. It really some of these OCs. I believe it was Alex Van Pelt who was the Browns OC. He got fired. I think that was my only gripe was why would you fire an OC that literally had to switch? I think he did pretty well in my eyes. Maybe it was also Stefanski. But you have any thoughts on, well, I mean, the Browns, but the Texans? I
Yeah,
mean, that's
I mean, well, I'm glad you brought up the Nick Sirianni thing. I've got actually a good talking point when we get to that game and just kind of how the game manager head coach is going extinct. But the
like
Texans, man, there's not much to like add. They said it all themselves. Like this is all without Tank Dell, like CJ
true.
Stroud. This is with CJ Stroud and I'm not gonna say Baker Mayfield, but Jordan Love. We're seeing the new guys start to crack onto the biggest stage we offer, right, and be successful on it. Um, I'm always going to root for a high flying offense and a freaking dominating defense. They dominated on all facets of the game, and that's what really shocked me. Honestly, was nobody had been able to slow down this Joe Flacco passing offense, and
Yeah.
you turn him over twice, and then you score twice, and you blow the thing wide freaking open. It's just one of those things. Like I I don't have much to add because they're firing on all cylinders and doing everything right. Shout out to Miko Ryans, man. I hope that he got Coach of the Year when the votes went in before Wild Card Weekend, and
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
hope that Kevin Stefanski didn't. I do think
Oof.
I do think Stefanski is worthy of it, anyways, for the reasons you listed. Just a very turmoil filled season. They still win 10 or 11 games. I can't remember. Go to the wild card
Yeah.
all without Nick Chubb, all without Sean Watson. Like very good season. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Very good season. And the Texans, man.
Ceiling for the Texans for you.
Surprise. Ceiling for the Texans. That's a great question. Who do
How
they put
far
up?
is this thing going to go?
I think this thing ends on Sunday.
Yeah, that's very fair.
I think
That is very
I
fair.
don't think they're going to beat the Ravens, man.
Yeah.
I hope they do. That would be sick. But well, I hope they do, assuming the Bills beat the Chiefs. If the Chiefs have to not play the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl again, I will be pretty mad.
Yeah.
Um,
We need that one.
I the ceiling is the sky is the limit for the Texans moving forward. You've got not only do you have an elite quarterback on a rookie deal, you've got 4 years left on that rookie deal,
Yeah.
and you've already won a playoff game. They have everything set up that all of these GMs are trying to do. Right? They just fell into it in 1 year. And I man, I mean, anytime
Lost words.
I gotta start playing Retro Bowl mid game because I'm bored at the product because it's a blowout. Like, I really like. I feel like I'm struggling to add, so I'm gonna shut up because
No, no worries, man. I think it's
that's
just
what a
that.
statement win is.
Yeah,
Like,
it's the loss of words and the understanding that the Texans were not supposed to be here, like in any capacity, man.
I mean, dude,
6 wins
this is
this
the
year would
team
have
that
been
we
like,
sat
oh, they're
on. Yeah,
promising.
this is the team that we sat on this podcast last year and laughed at because the Lovie Smith won their Week 18 game on a Hail
Yeah,
Mary.
I made fun of them for that. Like,
Yeah,
oh, they just lost out of the first pick, and that helped them. That really did.
it did.
Like, in a
Oh
different
man,
world, man. I mean, could you imagine if Carolina got Stroud
it probably would
in
look the
this
same.
NFC?
I'm just gonna be brutally honest with you. It probably look about the same for Carolina. I
No,
think that's an organ
that's
quarterback.
probably
The
maybe a
quarterback
couple more wins.
position is an organizational thing. All right, let's establish it right now. The
Okay.
quarterback position is an org. There are exceptions. There are, but
Andrew Luck.
well, I mean Peyton Manning.
I mean, the organization helped them a bit there.
If
I'm
you're
thinking of
if
like where
you're
quarterbacks like were failed by the organization.
oh, but okay, but I'm saying more in the sense of like there are certain organizations that, for very obvious and unobvious reasons,
David Tepper.
cannot find successful quarterback play. Okay, Jay Cutler, 4,000-yard passer, Pro Bowler. Before he goes to the Bears, never throws for 4,000 yards again, or goes to a Pro Bowl.
Nobody has in the Bears.
Nobody has. The Panthers. Okay, the Panthers, they get a guy and they struggle for years, except for 1 year. That was an anomaly, in my opinion. And it goes back too. Like, the Packers, great quarterbacks all over the time. Yes, the Cowboys have pretty good history of quarterbacks, honestly. Dak is above average. Tony Romo, Roger Staubach. I mean, keep going back. Troy Aikman. Like, they haven't had any world beaters, but good quarterback play. The Texans might have broken out of that, although they've had decent quarterback play in the past. I mean, Deshaun Watson. I don't know what it is. I really can't. If you were debating me on this topic and were to say, why do you think it is that some of these organizations can't get a good quarterback? I really don't know. Poor scouting, maybe.
Yeah.
Poor management, but I really don't know. And the Panthers, if CJ Stroud was there, I don't think we'd be seeing the same CJ Stroud we're seeing in Houston. It's all about situations.
Yeah. That'd be a very good deep dive video.
It would
just
be.
like organizations with like you could put together probably a spreadsheet of like every team's statistical years from their quarterbacks and accumulate like the worst average quarterback season for an organization.
It's the Bears.
I think those. It's the Bears. You don't have a 4,000 yard.
I do not have a 4,000-yard passer, man.
It's one of the longest teams. They've been around for like 100 years, like pre-merger. I mean, it's insane.
It's insane. And then there's anomalies too. It's just an interesting deep dive because you've got organizations like the Dolphins who like hit big on Dan Marino and then like spent 25 years trying to find another Dan Marino. Or it's very, very interesting.
That's a great pivot when you bring in the Dolphins. I mean, a lot of people,
it is a
I
good
think, this
pivot.
season thought Tua might have been, we're not going to say Dan Marino, but maybe the guy. And I think after this weekend, there's some question marks. I personally am not sure what I would do. I think if it comes down to, I mean, Mike McDaniel's probably can give his opinion and want Tua. I think if you're confident in those two guys improving, which I think both, I mean, he's a young coach, young quarterback, I'd give it a go with the offense they have. I mean, regular season, it was great, but curious as to your thoughts.
Yeah, so with this Dolphins loss, man, I saw the Dolphins for whatever reason are just one of those teams. They've ascended into one of those Twitter teams.
Mm,
The Packers are a
yeah.
Twitter team. The Chiefs are a Twitter team. The Cowboys are the Twitter team. And the Eagles are the other Twitter team. I don't know what it is about Dolphins fans. I think I actually would attribute some of Dolphin national hate towards the Dolphins to Emmanuel Cho. I actually would definitely do that. That guy has. I'm glad he's finally getting his exposed takes for the tweets the
Yeah,
other day and stuff because the guy's a clickbait guy who gets an MVP vote. Like, come on now, we need
that's
this.
ridiculous.
It's
Yeah.
insane. All that to say this: the Dolphins is Tua's rookie deal up. Like he's up for an extension this offseason. Is that what it is?
I would have to like check the math on that because I did Herbert get extended? I believe he got
He
like a
got an
5 year
extension, but I don't know if he played his fifth. Like this might have been year 5, and like he's not on
Yeah.
the extension yet. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
it's
I
already
would have to.
inked, but
I think he was going into year 5, if
okay.
I'm
Okay.
correct.
Gotta extend him. Even if he's a free agent this summer, you gotta extend him. That's my take. You gotta roll with him. First off, unless you're gonna draft a guy, there's no better choice out there, right? And
Mhm.
number two, this goes back to what I always say. Like, why do we have such a hatred? Whenever the playoffs turn on, we decide to have these hot takes about every quarterback who loses and we forget about the 18 weeks that they won to get them there, right? Let's establish
Ooh,
one
yeah, that
quarterback,
is
one
real.
quarterback can win a Super Bowl this year. Okay. So I'm very much of the belief, your goal every year, win a Super Bowl, right? That's if you don't win a Super Bowl, you fail. There are some exceptions to that. When it comes to having nuanced conversations, we can nuance that rule a little bit of like, okay, the Dolphins were horrible for 20 years. They now actually own the longest playoff drought. Not the Lions won, and we'll get to the Lions game, but they have the longest playoff drought without a win. It's the year 2000. It's been 24 years since they've won a playoff game. Okay, I got to be honest. Like they've made the playoffs 3 times under Tua. Not
Mm,
yeah, sure they haven't won a playoff game, but if you want to win a playoff game, don't lose your Week 18 matchup to the Bills and lose the division, and then have to go into Kansas City when it's historically cold and win. When you're Miami and you're a throwing team, like I don't. The Dolphins have had this issue forever, right? They can't win in like they don't win in cold. This has always been a thing. Go back to the Marino days. They can't win a Super Bowl because they got to go on the road and these all these things.
mm.
They got to beat Cleveland and Cleveland and all this stuff back in the '80s, right? They got to beat Denver and Denver. I'm getting on a tangent.
Yeah, no, that's tough
Or they
one.
got to beat Buffalo and Buffalo. Like that's why Buffalo was so good in the '90s because they would win the division every year. They'd have home field advantage, and then all of these Kansas City, LA Raiders, Pittsburgh, I guess was fine, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
Um, Win that division game and you win a playoff game. It's very simple. They would have played the Steelers, right? Like it's
ooh,
very simple. Win the division when you win a playoff game and your job is over. So I'm not shocked that they came in and lost this game. I'm not blaming Tua for this loss either. This was not a quarterback performance loss on paper. Okay, nobody showed up. Nobody. Where's their
yeah,
dynamic run game that they've had all year? Nowhere to be
yeah,
found.
gone.
They
Yeah.
did Tua look good? No, but I don't even think that the Chiefs looked that good. It's just one of those games you have to find a way to win in cold weather, and nobody defense didn't show up, run game didn't show up, O line didn't show up. I mean, dude, this is not a game where we turn around and blame Tua Tagovailoa for the entire loss, right? No,
Yeah.
we can have a discussion about how Mike McDaniel's teams are starting to build a trend of fading in the last 5 weeks of the year and losing in the wild card every time. We can have that discussion, but
Right.
I don't even think we can really have it's twice, guys. We're talking
Yeah.
about twice, right? So I am not one. You got to extend them to answer
Okay.
the.
No, no. I mean, next year's a big year. really, in my eyes, for the
Absolutely.
Dolphins. I think next year is kind of like the prove it year because from the Dolphins, well, I think really I'm getting stuck on the CJ Stroud really perspective of things of like you got like 5 years of cheap. I mean, look at the 49ers, what they got with Brock Purdy
Yeah,
right
but
now.
but but are
That's a
you
big
gonna
deal.
be if you don't win a playoff game, are you gonna be paying Tua Justin Herbert money? I don't
Well,
think
yeah,
so. I don't think
I would
so.
hope
He's
not.
not in that tier. So if you can get Tua for 30, 35 mil a year,
Yeah.
sure.
Daniel Jones is getting like 40. That's the thing. I think Daniel Jones really botched this market because any quarterback that's better than him is probably going to be asking
Well, I
45
think the
minimum.
salary cap's gonna go up anyways. Honest to God, it's gonna go
Yeah, no, that's very
up.
fair. I have to look at Tyreek
You do
Hill's
pose an
situation.
interesting question, but like, okay, let me ask you this: Who's better?
Oh no,
Come,
I don't think you really have somebody better.
who's a better
Like I
option?
think my
Kirk?
thing is I might take his 5th year, and even if he's not happy about it, you just play him out this season, and at the end you kind of assess where you're at. I mean, I think if they have another first round exit, I don't think Mike Daniel should go. But in this day and age, the NFL, I mean, I was shocked
I,
McCarthy didn't lose his job. Like it's just so quick.
I gotta be honest, man. We gotta stop with this quick trigger firings and tradings. Like
Oh no,
the
is it the
Dolphin.
right call? Probably not.
I grew up in an era where the Dolphins were poverty for 20
Yeah,
years. They have now made the playoffs three different times under Tua. Are they
yeah,
struggling to get over the next hump? Sure. But if you remove key pieces from the situation that got you there, you're going to go right back into poverty. And it's just one of those things where it's like, people are so, it just bothers me. The Mike McCarthy thing
no, that's fair.
bothers me. It's just like they've won 12 games 3 years in a row. Have they won a playoff game? No. Is that a problem? Yes. Um, is that a fireable offense? Mm, I would say that you should probably move on at quarterback before you fire that coach. Again,
From the Cowboys'
yeah,
perspective,
from the Cowboys.
interesting,
Again, because
interesting.
Dak, because when Jason Garrett was there, they were mediocre. McCarthy has elevated them to back to back to back 12-win seasons. That is a step up from where Jason Garrett had them. Okay. And
It is okay.
and it's more consistent. They have not been able to win a playoff game. Okay, now we can have I think we have the conversation about we don't want to extend Dak Prescott because Dak Prescott's going to ask for $300 million, and is he going to win this playoff game? Oh, okay. Maybe we go into a soft reset, but we're not on the Packers or the Packers Cowboys game yet. We're still on Chiefs Bills. Your thoughts on the Chiefs or Chiefs Dolphins? Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, not a whole lot to add for. It was just like a classic Chiefs win. They did the smart things. I mean, you're jamming Tyreek Hill right away off the line. So, and Tua was under fire. I mean, like I said, nobody played well. So that's you can't get the ball quick. They were sitting in man most of that game. It was like Jesus, and not having Jalen Waddle, I think, is something that needs to be talked about more as well.
And nobody's talking
Um,
about it.
yeah, like that's a key part of this offense is having to defend that. If you they were able to basically just kind of hone in on Tyreek. And when you're playing man, it's easier to stop the run. So therefore, they couldn't get that going. And in the weather, it was
Is
not in their favor. I think Waddle makes the game more interesting. But I think I'm on your side in the sense that I think they need to pay Tua. I just think it's worth conversation if for whatever reason he has like a good year. We've seen weird situations with quarterbacks, and with Jalen Waddle's going to need an extension. You got Tyreek Hill. Like, at what point, like who really is the identity of your offense? Is it the skill positions and the speed? Because I look at Mostert and the chain, like they have really the fastest running back and receiver room in the NFL, and I think a lot of quarterbacks will succeed in that. But I also don't want to take away from Tua because it is hard to play quarterback in this league. We saw it this year especially. So I just don't want them to get locked into like the Giants situation. They're running it back with Daniel Jones next year, and I don't know how you can do that. I mean, there's like you said, there's nobody really better out there. I don't know who you upgrade from. maybe you draft a guy, but the way the roster is for the Giants, they're still in that same situation.
But
So,
here's the thing, even for the Giants, I would respond the same way. The guy
hmm,
has won you a playoff game. The guy has won you a playoff game.
well,
Like, this is a franchise that has thrived on going 3-13 and winning Super Bowl the next year. Like, the Giants, that is. Like,
fair enough.
the Daniel Jones contract looks horrible and probably is horrible, but there is a
Yeah,
level to
big.
like, okay, we don't really have another option, so this is our guy, and there's value in that when the franchise is comfortable and there's no question marks, there's no nothing, and I really, really like. Are there 10 better options than Tua, right? And you're not going to get your hands on any of them.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah,
you
no
got
chance.
to resign Tua. Like, you're not going to draft Caleb Williams. You're not going to like resign Tua and beef up the old line. Um, it just really felt like they didn't even want to be there. Like from the jump in this game, it's a playoff game. It literally felt like it was a team from Miami going into the cold that didn't want to play. And
Yeah, yeah.
I
Cold.
don't. It's just
It's too
NFL
cold.
football.
Yeah.
It's NFL
15
football. Like,
people had hypothermia, like went to the hospital from the game. I mean, they were fans, they weren't actual players, but you get the idea.
we're
When
talking
it's
about
70
NFL
degrees.
football. You don't want to be there. Okay, you don't want to be there. You're not
Yeah,
going to win. Like, this isn't a Tua problem. This is probably a coaching problem. But
your
uh,
team, yeah.
yeah, and I really wasn't impressed with the Chiefs either. Like, I
No,
don't
yeah,
think they're
there's
that good. I don't. All right, let's move on. We talked about Cowboys. I'm just going to give you the open floor here. Packers Cowboys was next in line, so let them boys hear it.
oh yeah, it's like being a dead horse, honestly, because I think it's finally setting in. Like Cowboys fans they're like turning on themselves. They're like, I haven't even been alive to see. There was like a stat where it was like the Jets since 2000 had more playoff wins, and they haven't made the playoffs since 2010. Like there's some just wild numbers, and the Cowboys literally have not been good in the playoffs since the 90s. And I uh, I see Jerry Jones's frustration. I
You're the problem,
I'm not
man.
a fan
You're
of
the
Mike
problem,
McCarthy.
Jerry. Like,
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, when he's looking for a culprit, I mean, it's him. The Michael Gallup contract is egregious. It's like 5 years, 75 million for like a number 4 receiver on your team. That's that's a waste of cap right there. The Zeke contract, I know he's not on the team, but I think they had to eat some dead money this season for that. Already, we talked about if you have to load Dak up on another big deal. This team, like as good as it is, watching on Sunday, it's also like, they're also not that good. Like
I disagree.
defensively, I was,
I
I was,
disagree. This
I
team
was.
is good.
It's
I
good on
really disagree.
paper, but like defensively, I feel like once you kind of contain Micah Parsons, the rest was the Packers had a cakewalk. And I love what our team is doing, one of the hottest teams in the NFL. But like 48 points on a team that was I thought they had going like throughout the season, I was like, yeah, Cowboys defense is making legit. And that was non-existent. I mean, Stephon Gilmore was turned around at one point on Romeo Dobbs' play. Like they looked bad. And I hear where you're coming from. Like it's hard to look at that roster up and down and be like, how is this a bad team? But from the eye test, at least from what I saw, it was like, man, and this is against the 7th seed. Like hate to be that guy, but from a non-biased perspective, that's the easiest path you're going to get. The Packers were the first 7 seed to win. I mean, six distance expansion.
I
It's kind of give me that 2 seed. You're supposed to just walk through the park,
I
and
really
those did.
I think that the Cowboys, for whatever reason, are it's like a high school mentality when they get to the playoffs. Like they just
That's
the
not a
lights
bad way
get
to
too
look at it.
bright, and
Yeah.
I think that the NFC is a lot more parity and has a lot more parity and is a lot closer from number 1 to number 7 than people realized.
Mm-hmm.
And we were keen on it because the Eagles sucked, and we'll get to
Yeah.
that.
Wow.
And we knew they sucked, and I thought they would win this game and then lose. But I really think that I gotta be honest. I think that the NFC is just that close in competition, and people thought that the Cowboys were like the Ravens in that sense of like they're playing better than
Yeah.
everybody else, and they are the clear favorite. And should they have won this game? Are they a better team than the Packers? I would, yes. They were 7.5 point favorites. Like, yes.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where the Cowboys have been so prone to this. Just, oh, we're gonna beat up on bad teams and then get blown out by good teams. And they just do this. I don't know what it is that they are just so unavailable in January. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. On paper, this defense is phenomenal. Deron Bland breaks the record. They're good all year. They look legit, and they just. I don't think it's Dak. I'm not going to sit here and be the guy that says, "Oh, Dak was horrible." I think that Dak was bad in the first half.
Mhm.
He kept them in the game late, and as a Packers fan, kept me nervous. But I think that the Cowboys are they got internal issues. That's the bottom line here. There's really
Yeah.
no reason they should have lost this game. I'm not going to be a Packers fan and run on here and say we were underrated, all this. No, we stuck into the playoffs. We're a hot team, and I thought we had a good chance of winning this game, but we were 9.5 point dogs, man. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I don't have too much really to say about the Packers from that aspect. It's like, I mean, they're so good. I don't have anything left to add. It's just
they're
like
the Texans
we've been
category.
playing with house money. That perform in my eyes, it's like, oh, well, if we play like this, we can beat anybody. And I'm just
Yeah,
going in the
man.
mindset of I'll see whatever happens. By the way, Saturday, it's National Cheese Day. Just FYI. And
Hey, when we get there, I just want to say, all-time matchups. Packers are 5-1 against the 49ers with quarterbacks not named Aaron Rodgers, and 1-4 with Aaron Rodgers. Just want to add that.
pressure is a real thing, man. Between the Cowboys and Rodgers, that giant chip of not going number one to San Fran, beating
Mm,
Cal. I'm telling you, man, this might
mm,
be the year. But
mm,
I digress. I'm
no,
not going to sound like
I'm
a
not gonna say
Cowboys fan.
anything else.
This
No,
is
no,
our
no,
year. This is
no.
our year.
This is it. No, no. We have played with house money. We just won a freaking playoff game in a rebuilding year. All of you guys can piss off.
Yeah, plain and simple, man.
Oh man, what's so funny too is I have seen a self destruction of Bears, Vikings, and even Lions Twitter. Like I have just seen those fans. The takes are just atrocious. They are back to circling the wagons on Packers fans are the worst in the league, and everybody else looks at them like they're idiots because they were the people 4 months ago saying that Justin Fields was an MVP frontrunner.
Yeah,
Um, I
I remember
digress.
those.
I digress. Um, Go Pack, go. Rams
Absolutely.
Lions. Rams Lions. This was the game I was honestly most excited for this week. If you guys listened last week, like I was very excited for this game, and
Mm-hmm.
it delivered. This was the only game that delivered. This was the only
Really, yeah,
close
it was
game.
it.
1 point game, man. Your thoughts? Lions first playoff win in 32 years. First home playoff game in 31 years or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was monumental. Just seeing the city kind of go crazy. And there's a video of people got a hold of Jared Goff driving out of the stadium. They're like, Jared, you're the man. Like, it's really, I mean, I think personally it's cool to see, like, from Jared Goff's aspect, because he really kind of got the bad end of things, if you will. Like, was in LA with the Rams,
Went to a
cozy
Super
from
Bowl.
Cal, went to a Super Bowl, right? Had one bad season, and that was like Sean McVay kicked him to the curb for a guy who, I mean, you look back, if you make the trade and you get a Super Bowl, you won the trade. So from the
Yeah,
Rams
yeah.
aspect of things, I
Shout
can't
out
take anything
Lions.
away.
Shout out Lions Twitter on that one. Lions did not win this trade. If anything, it's a win-win at this point. But
Yes.
the Rams literally won a Super Bowl, so they cannot lose the trade. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah. The Rams, whatever else they get out of Stafford is like the term we use, house money. Like you sacrificed a first or two for a Super Bowl. That's it. You know, what I mean, it's a successful trade. But the Lions think like that side of things, everything they got helped them. The picks, Goff. I thought this was a guy. I mean, probably 2 years ago when they went 3-13-1. I was all right. Get ready to move on. I think they picked up Hendon Hooker.
we were
I mean,
saying
there
that.
was
We were like,
yeah,
all they need to do is solve their quarterback position and their defense, and they're
yeah,
actually could be good.
and here we are. They solved both. I mean, defensively, you could be a bit better, but they're very likely. I mean, they're favored to go to the conference championship right now. I mean, a
Dude,
game
I'm
away from the
telling you
Super
right now.
Bowl for this team
I'm telling you right
is
now.
nuts.
I was concerned for the Eagles to have to go into Detroit and win. Can you
Not to
imagine
worry about that.
playing? That is the hardest place to play right now. Screw Arrowhead, man. That is the hardest place to play
Right?
right
Yeah.
now. And there's a good chance, not a good chance, but there's a chance that they host an NFC Championship game against the Packers.
Which would be crazy because we already beat them in Detroit
And let me
on Thanksgiving.
let me clarify something. That terrifies me. We will not win that game. We will not win that game. Um,
You say that.
look,
We go into San
I say
Fran and
we're
beat
not
them.
gonna I say we're not gonna win the game every week. So let's just
That's true. That's true. You gotta roll. You gotta roll with character. You
yeah,
gotta roll with
yeah.
it.
Your thoughts on we talked Jared Goff, revenge game, all this stuff. Your thoughts on the Rams side of this? I got like 30 seconds of like thoughts. I think they overachieved this year.
Yeah.
And they almost won a playoff game in a hostile environment. I mean, a super hostile environment. Matt Stafford looked good, played through, did the classic Matt Stafford, got hurt, toughed it out. I was like, and I sat there, I was like, is Matt Stafford really about to Matt Stafford the Detroit Lions in their first? Like, I was just like, man, this is crazy. The other thing I saw, I sent this in the group chat, but the most perfect meme I've seen maybe in years, man. The clip of Thanos. The clip of Thanos at the end of Infinity War resting in front of the sunset. The caption says, Matt Stafford after finally winning, getting the Lions that playoff win. And I was just like, the layers of depth, the accuracy of that use of meme is just so good because he would be unappreciated. He felt like he was doing the right thing. Oh man,
Yeah.
shout out whoever posted that, man. You made my month because I'm still laughing at it like a week later. Like,
Oh, that is gold. Like to hit a joke on like every level of like the
oh
depth.
man.
Like no, because it is like just the entire. We just talked about the trade, like the butterfly effect in the waves. It's inevitable, and I guess I would have been shocked if he didn't Matt Stafford him because that's inevitable too. Like you see a clip of him like dying mid game, and
He
then he
walks back out
yeah,
there, throws a touchdown.
drive in the highlights later. It's like what? Like, dude, I'm sorry. I don't know who's in that like New York skybox or whatever, but there's like Stafford on the one hit, his eyes like rolled back, and it's like he probably lost it for a second, got up and was like, "Football, let's go."
Unaffiliated concussion advisor, independent contractor.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
oh my gosh, just
You just
the
knew
the
as
scripts
soon as
write
he went to
themselves, man.
the tent, I was like, "There's no freaking way he is not coming back out."
No,
Sure enough, we
we
go to commercial, come back, and he's trotting out to lead the drive. Oh my
he's just
gosh!
a pure football guy. You have to respect
A
it.
dying breed,
Yeah,
man. A dying
it really
breed,
is a
and
dying
I
breed.
am a fan of that
Yeah.
breed, man.
Hey, well,
Um,
speaking of dying breed and football, just guys, how about the what's the term I'm looking for? Just buns. Like just buns move of we had a great Saturday snow fest that could have been in Buffalo, and we were robbed, and it got pushed to Monday. In my eyes, I wanted to see players running through feet of snow. It might have ended 7-3, yes, but I wanted to see it in my lifetime. I wanted to see the Adam Vinatieri-esque snow plow goes out for the Bill. I wanted to see it as a fan. I feel robbed, but I'm sure you might have a different take on this in terms of football quality. I don't think the Bills put up 31 in that weather.
It definitely benefited the Bills. It definitely benefited the Bills on the field. As the Bills pseudo fan, I will totally say that.
Right.
But I do think that people don't understand that the game was not called because they couldn't play in that weather, and the game was postponed because 80,000 people were going to have to go to this stadium. I mean, if you've ever been in a whiteout blizzard, like it's dangerous, man. Like it's dangerous. I I would have
Bills
preferred.
Mafia, though.
I would have loved it. Oh, they would have shown up. That's the thing.
They would have
And
got
I think that's why they postponed it, because they knew like people were going to die trying to get to this game and not make the right decision of not going. I would have loved to see the snow game. I can't lie. The snow game would have been sick. Hopefully we get one. Okay, we still got a couple weeks. Buffalo's
We
gonna
got
have
time.
home field. Gonna have home field for 2 more weeks if they keep winning. So, well, unless they go to Baltimore, but
It's not Baltimore.
the Steelers, man, I don't even know. How did this? I was watching this game, asking myself over and over again, how is this team here? Really?
What's like the equivalent, like comparison, like an NBA comp or really anything? Like they're good, but they're not. Like I would not want to be a fan of a team that it's like, oh, we're good enough, we have good coaching and make it to 9-8, and then we just don't even have a shot. Like this has been years since like 2018. It's been the same script for
Yeah,
the Steelers.
really, ever since Roethlisberger and the triple B's kind of
Yeah, the Killer Bees, man. Since that went away,
the Killer Bees were like, oh, they are AFC contenders, and ever since that faded out in Roethlisberger, that 11-0 year where they didn't win a playoff game, that's when they've taken on this new identity of like, we suck, but we're going to make the playoffs anyways, and that's their Super Bowl. And it's like the Steelers are like one of the top 3 premier franchises in the NFL in terms of sustained success over their entire history. And this has just been their weirdest period, in my opinion. They're not bad.
yeah, sure.
They continue to make the playoffs, but they don't ever win a playoff game, and you don't expect them to.
Yeah,
Mason Rudolph starting a playoff game. They gotta. I don't know what they're gonna do. Maybe it's Justin Fields. Maybe it's Kirk Cousins. Like, make a move at quarterback to elevate them, because that's the only position I think that's holding them back. That, and I don't love George Pickens. I really don't. But they run the ball well. They don't throw the ball well. They play great defense. They got to find somebody to throw the ball better. That's the bottom line.
Really just get a passing game. That would help.
Yeah,
things.
I mean that fit. They've got an offseason now to find an offensive coordinator, so maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I just was disappointed that they were even in the playoffs, honestly, watching this game.
Pretty valid. I would have rather seen Jacksonville. I know like they flamed out the end, but I think it would have. They have more weapons. That their ceiling of what they can do in a game is a lot higher.
Or even Indianapolis. Just like, and I know the NFL doesn't pick who's in the playoffs, but you know what it felt like? It felt like we were watching the AFC playoffs and Joe Burrow's Bengals were missing. It kind of felt like that a little bit. I know that's an extremely biased take, but it did. As I'm sitting here looking at the slate and the scores, and I remember watching that game and literally just being like, okay, this is like 21-0 like that. Like I was just like, you know.
Yeah, I was happy to come home on a Monday Night Football, man.
And then I wasn't happy.
Then I was, I was like, oh.
Bills roll, look good, excited, man. How many weeks ago was it that I said we were gonna get this? We got to do this to this to this to this to this. I mean, the parlay would. We wouldn't be talking if I'd put it down on a parlay. Honestly, I'd be on a beach somewhere watching. I'd be in Cancun with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. But
and Jalen Hurts
and Dak and Jalen Hurts.
We'll do the NFC East.
Here we are. We finally got Kansas City at home in the playoffs. Now you just got to go win. You just got to go do it.
No excuses.
Yeah, no excuses. No excuses. You got it. All right. I'm gonna laugh really hard if we go to overtime and we score on the first possession, and then the Chiefs get the ball and they score and they go for 2 and win. That is where I'll laugh. Okay.
That might break me, man.
That would break the
That-
NFL. The Twitter nightmare that would be that sequence of events. Oh man. Oh man, would that be phenomenal?
Fireworks.
You mentioned Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Let's talk.
Let's.
Let us discuss the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, Nick
I've got an
Sirianni.
interesting opinion, but I want you to go first.
Okay, yeah, and just from the terms of like the Eagles side of things, I don't think they need to blow anything up. Not saying tear it down, but there's got to be like a shift, because 10-1 to really 11-7 when you count the playoff loss to the Buccaneers. It's a tough stretch, man, and when you're a team that I mean, for me, I talked about around the time they're 10. I would think they went to like 10-2. And I'm like, yeah, not worried. No, panic button's not even open yet. And here we are. They got diced up by Baker. Nothing really looks good. That's where I mean, it wasn't like the Buccaneers kicked field goal. The Buccaneers.
No, where's the team that was rushing for like 300 yards on the Vikings in Week 4?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, no, and there's that change in play calling duties, I believe. Whatever Nick Sirianni did with moving coordinators around, I believe he had Matt Patricia calling defense, like at some point, it was bad. It was just bad because the defense looked terrible. Offensively, they couldn't do what I mean, I talked about how OP it is to have the ability to have a 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 to get it every time, and they couldn't take advantage of that for like the entire back half of the season. Teams would kill to have that tush push advantage, but I just, yeah, I don't even really know what to say. It seems just like an NFC East thing. It's really funny.
I honestly still haven't even pressed the panic button.
Oh, on the Eagles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think next year they're probably gonna run it back and do the same things, and this is gonna be one of those weird anomaly fall offs. But it was funny on Twitter, man. See, there's like a fight of like 2 clowns, and it was like Cowboys and Eagles fans going at each other. Like it's just you can't. The 2 most toxic fan bases on Twitter are down in the first round. It was just incredible to watch. I mean, you had a Buccaneer. Yeah, a lot of underdog stories this season, which is pretty cool. You know, it's
let me start by saying this. Shout out freaking Baker Mayfield.
good, man.
We mentioned poor organizations and their quarterback analysis. Baker Mayfield, to me, is actually a pretty big talking point when it comes to talking about why I feel like CJ Stroud would not have been successful in Carolina.
They had the scout team D line, man.
Yeah, the clip of Baker Mayfield playing scout team D line to me is like, yeah, this organization sucks at evaluating quarterback talent. Like, I don't know. The guy won a playoff game in Cleveland. Okay, he won a playoff game in Cleveland, and then they move on from him, make the big move, go for Deshaun. Okay, I still disagree with it, but okay. Goes to Carolina, sucks. Actually, no, goes to LA, has like a one-hit wonder game, then goes to Carolina. They just throw him out the door at like 3-3, I believe, or was it Carolina first?
I think you're mixing that around. Yeah, he got traded to Carolina, got cut from Carolina, and then Sean McVay picked him up late in that season.
Yeah,
this was all last season, I believe.
He then goes to the Bucs, wins the division, wins a playoff game. One of like 5 quarterbacks ever to win a playoff game with 2 different teams. It's like Peyton Manning, Joe Montana,
Brett Favre,
and that might be it. I think that's the list. Like, Tom Brady.
That's crazy.
Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady and Baker.
Wow,
that's the list.
Bucs too, yeah.
Wow. So shout out Baker Mayfield. Now,
yeah,
let's talk some Philly football. Okay. So let me ask you this: yes or no? Fire Nick Sirianni.
I would say no, I hear people are coming. I hear the case. All right, I hear the case because this roster, especially Howie Roseman, might be thinking about it. Just given the fact, you look at the team, it's similar to Cowboys. It's like, how did you lose? They were definitely the better constructed team than the Buccaneers, in my opinion. But it's
Okay.
like the guy got you the Super Bowl last year. Like I
Yes.
think he at least deserves another
Yes.
go. I think it would be very premature, similar to how Nick Sirianni's playing learn from his mistakes, changing play callers midseason when they were rolling. They didn't
Yeah.
need to.
Glad we're on
Um,
the same page. Let's establish something before I dive in here. The
mm,
percentage of teams that make the playoffs after losing the Super Bowl or even going, but losing specifically is like 50, maybe even less than 50. Okay.
mm,
Super Bowl layovers, win or loss, are a thing. And the reason is not because, oh, they're tired from the celebration, all this. No, it's because every single player, coach who's available gets taken and goes elsewhere for more money, right? That's just what happens when you go to a Super Bowl. Um, so to make the playoffs, in my opinion, if you tell me at the beginning of the year the Eagles are going to win 11 games, they're going to make the playoffs, I'm going to be like, oh, that's a good season for them, right? But the
yeah,
fashion at which it happened is what makes people freak out. Okay, that's 10-1, 11-5, first round exit. Not good, and things are
just
clearly
ice
wrong.
cold.
Now, circle back to the Nick Sirianni take that I mentioned I had earlier in the episode. The only case that I hear for the firing of Nick Sirianni is that all of his coordinators are at risk to leave next year. Okay. That's the issue right now with across the NFL, how head coaching works. Okay. The game
Mhm.
manager head coach, the guy who's not a D coordinator, not a or a play caller, or not an O coordinator, is a dying breed. The only one having success right now is Dan Campbell. Okay. Belichick just got let go. Okay. Who's the other one? There's another big Pete Carroll. That's what I'm trying to think of. Pete Carroll.
Okay.
Another
Okay.
for coaches from a different era that were still around, kind of gone. Let me tell you this: the longest tenured offensive coordinator in the NFL right now has only been with his team since 2019. That's
That's crazy.
that's the longest tenured offensive coordinator in the league. That's crazy. And here's
Well,
why. Here's why. I get it. And this is why the only reason, if I'm Howie Roseman, I could consider firing Nick Sirianni. Because when you give your offensive minded head coach, which seems to be the trend, it could be defensive minded, but let's say you want the offensive mind. When you give your Mike McDaniel, your Sean McVay, your Matt LaFleur, the head coach position instead of the O coordinator position, they're at much less risk to leave and go elsewhere because they are the head coach. So you're guaranteeing this
yeah.
brilliant offensive mind in your building. If you sign them as an offensive coordinator, and then you sign Nick Sirianni as the head coach, well, we had a great season, and the Detroit's going to have this problem next year. We had a great season, but now, Eagles
Ben
OC,
Johnson's gone. Yeah.
OC got a head coaching job in one of the 15 vacancies that is out there this year, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting dynamic where this style of head coach. Now, I would say that there's still a place for it. Dan Campbell is more than proof that creating a culture and matters, and managing a game and being the leader of the team and the organization matters. Will we be singing a different tune this time next year with Detroit? Who's to say? But we're singing a different tune this time next year with Philly. It's a
That's true.
very interesting conversation and a trend in NFL coaching that I kind of did a little deep dive on. So I kind of went into like Microsoft presentation mode right there. But I really do think that's the only reason I would consider firing Nick Sirianni. Otherwise, the guy won you friggin' a bunch of games, took you to Super Bowl, back-to-back playoff appearances in 2 years. How many head coaches can say that? Not a lot.
No, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, honestly, and why I kind of want to give him another year because just like when there's turnover from quarterbacks, like with Kirk, he had to learn like two or three different offenses from year to year. I mean, Nick Sirianni literally lost his staff. Like Jonathan Gannon, the DCs with Arizona. Shane Steichen is lighting it up with the Colts. I mean, I still think that team was very overperforming this year with
And
Gardner Minshew.
but the other argument is if you get a guy to be your head coach who is Bill Belichick or Pete Carroll, who can take you and give you winning culture through multiple coordinators,
Mm-hmm.
that's better than everything else, right?
Right.
Because he can evaluate talent from a completely different perspective, coaching and playing talent. And that's the ultimate win. But I think teams are saying that's too much of a risk. Let's just hire the young offensive mind to do both, right? And it's working. You're seeing teams like the Packers, the Dolphins, except Andy Reid, right? The Chiefs, play calling head coaches do well.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like Andy Reid might be the last man standing for
But
in terms
he
of that
calls the
old
play.
generation of
He calls the
coaches there.
plays though.
Yeah, but I guess maybe just 2000s coaches. I'm thinking it's really like Mike Tomlin, Andy Reid, maybe John Harbaugh, but he was kind of on the back end of it. Kind of crazy, man.
Yeah. So all that to say, I don't think they should fire Nick Sirianni after 2 playoff appearances. It took you to
Too
a Super
early.
Bowl, like way too early.
Way too early.
I thought they fired Doug Peterson too early, and sure enough, he went and turned Jacksonville around into a AFC contender who this year kind of got the injury bug, I think, late, but
Yeah.
should have won their division. So and won a playoff game last year. So just a food for thought when it comes to trends in NFL coaching.
Oh yeah.
Eagles, I can't really. Can you pinpoint why the Eagles sucked the last 6 weeks? I
No,
can't.
it's
I
just,
can't.
just everything.
I
Like everything
really.
just sucked.
I think that AJ Brown broke that locker room. Like there was a clip that
Probably.
went viral of him like being mad, and they just started playing hero ball everywhere, and they went from one of the most cohesive units to no chemistry, just like that. And I don't know what it was. We never. No one's gonna know. It probably was something we have no clue, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it happened a
No,
lot.
they look disorganized. They really did.
Yeah. All right, let's pivot. Predictions, divisional round, 4 games, 4 games left.
Mm.
Texans, Ravens, Packers, Niners, Bucks, Lions, Chiefs, Bills. That's the slate this week. That's who's left.
Mm.
Last week you went 5-1. I went 3-3. That puts
Sorry.
us
Mm.
at
Mm-hmm.
you are 7 games back.
Oh man,
So
math is not on my side.
7 games back with 7 to go.
I have to pick against you for everyone and get them all right.
That
Essentially, is what we're gonna have to
that
do.
that is the truth. And I think I just realized something too. Is there really 7 games left?
Yep.
Yeah, I can't catch the 170
Yeah.
that you had last year. I
Oh
need
no.
I need 9 more.
Nah, still a good year though.
Yeah, I can't even catch myself from last year. Why were we so
Oh, you're
good?
only a game back.
Yeah, why were we so good last year? what?
We didn't have to deal with Joe Flacco coming out of the blue
No,
and
but
the
dude, I
Pastronaut
remember
and
this is
Tommy Cutlets.
we,
Like this was a crazy year looking.
we got to be doing something wrong because last year I felt like I remember multiple weeks I had like 5 wins and like week 1 I think I was 5-12 or whatever, like whatever, 5-11. So
Yeah.
we might be doing something wrong here. I don't know. This is feeling a little sick.
No, there's because I had
I
like
haven't
a
had
heater week
I
at
haven't
one
had
point.
worse than 8-8 ever.
Oh well.
I'd have to double check that, but I don't think I've been worse than 8-8 all year. 500 is the worst I've done, and then 3-3 this week. So I stayed on that trend. But all right, Texans, Ravens. To be nice, I will pick first every time, and present my
Thank you.
case. Present my case why. I will be taking the Ravens because they're the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Say
I would assume you're taking the Texans.
Stroud, we
Let's
trust, man. The road to the
before
Super Bowl starts now.
before you do this, let's establish there's 4 games this week. There's 2 games in the conference championship, and there's 1 Super Bowl. Yeah, that's you have to go 7-0 to tie.
Yep,
All
just a
right,
tie.
little I think the Ravens are going to win this game just because they're playing so well. They've got a week rest. They look like the best team in football. I'm not going to pick against them.
Yeah.
Go ahead and try and make a case for the Texans.
They are going to be surprising. They are a young team. They got
Yeah,
CJ
young
Stroud,
team.
Nico Collins,
They got the
Devin
momentum.
Singletary. You got Mark
Devin
Andrews versus
Singletary.
Dalton Schultz, the ultimate tight end matchup. This is actually Mark Andrews might be done for the year, but the idea is it's going to be an interesting. I would be kind of shocked if the Texans pulled this off, but on any Sunday, man, on any Sunday, D'Amico Ryans get those guys fired up, and I just hope it's not cold. There's been a trend. They're in Houston. They play in the dome. They play and it's like 30 out. Stroud might be all right. I worry for the team. I do.
Fair take. Fair take. Here's your if you're new here, we're both Packers fans. If you're not new here, you don't need to, you don't need a magnifying glass to decide who's picking who this week. I'm rolling with San Francisco, and you're rolling with Green Bay.
The Dogs.
Here's what I'll say about this matchup, man. The 49ers should win this game, realistically speaking. And when Christian McCaffrey runs for 350 yards and ends my season the same as always, I will be very upset. I was at the last freaking 49ers Packers playoff game in Lambeau Field.
Hey.
But there is something, there's a little piece in the back of my head, a little just delusional little brain cell back there who's just screaming to everybody else, well, it's not Aaron Rodgers anymore, so maybe it'll be a different story. I can't help but listen to him.
Yes, sir.
I can't help but listen to him and get excited, man. I get excited. But anyways, house money, we already won. We already profited. We won the year. Pay him whatever he wants. I don't care. I'll pay his salary. Your thoughts on the game?
Excitement. I don't think it can go as poorly as it's gone in previous years. But the one thing I do worry about,
famous last words right there.
Yeah, famous last words.
It is. I say this. I feel like a
defense.
Cowboys fan felt last week. Remember, we were making fun of them. They were like, "Oh, they're scared of us. Look at this." That's how I feel.
Fair enough. No, fair enough. And I could be putting on the clown merchandise next week, but I'm rolling with the Pack, man. I believe this is 2010 vibes. Is what I'm getting.
There are some vibes. The vibes are cooking. All right, Bucks Lions. I'm taking the home team. Lions to the NFC Championship. I think the home team wins here. I would have taken the Lions over the Eagles, honestly, after that performance last week. I think that, like I said, this is where home field advantage is going to be the hardest place to play. And you're talking about Baker Mayfield going in there with this Bucks team. Eagles would have been like, okay, they've shown flashes. If they find themselves from week 5, they can beat them. The Bucks is just like, talk about playing with house money. This feels like the Seahawks going in, the Beastquake right now. Like they don't, why are they here? And they already won, so now they're going to lose. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Or Baker Mayfield takes play out of Joe Flacco's playbook from 2012 and continues this hot streak.
Man, I would be all for a Baker Mayfield NFC Championship appeal.
I'll tell you what, if any guy can go into a stadium where it's loud and
that's so true,
swinging the rock, it's Baker Mayfield.
It's so true.
What? Chris is down there and he's chucking it. I mean, they got a fighting shot.
Baker Mayfield. We talk about Stafford being a dying breed. Baker Mayfield is the evolution of that breed. He's the next
football guy.
Yeah, football guy. Don't care. We're out here slinging it. But slinging it, you do fall on your sword sometimes, and
it might be this weekend. We're gonna hope not. We're going to hope for the old Packers-Buccaneers conference championship.
The rematch, baby. The
minus
rematch.
Tom Brady. Yeah. Oh, jeez. They did dice us up a couple weeks ago, but I digress.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to bring up his name.
Yeah.
All right. Chiefs, Bills, Sunday Night Football.
Ooh.
Bills on 2 less days of rest. Doesn't matter. We're rolling with Buffalo.
Okay.
I'm taking the home team again. This is your chance, by the way. I
Yeah.
don't think the Bills should be favored in this game, in my opinion, because of the less days rest. But they're at home, and it's not like they're not going to be up because this is their chance. And I really think that the rest days is not going to be that big of a deal this late in the season. You've got your routine. You're fine.
Yeah.
You know what they're going to do on a short week, and it is what it is. The Chiefs, in my opinion, have not looked like the Chiefs all year. And if they win this game, man, they go back to the AFC Championship. They really solidify themselves as the modern New England Patriots in my mind, because this is not an
Agreed.
AFC Championship team. I gotta be honest, man. This is not an AFC Championship team. They can't catch. They're not great on defense. This is the Bills' chance. They have to win this game. And they have to, this is the year. They finally got them at home. They did everything they had to do after the 12th man kickoff thing against Denver. They finally got them at home. This is it. I'm rolling with the Bills.
Yeah. No, I love that. I honestly, the idea of like Ravens, Bills probably sounds a lot more fun on paper than Chiefs, Texans. Although when I say that, even we got some good teams left in the AFC. Chiefs is the best for me to make up my ground, like you mentioned. Patriots vibes of they just had the consistency. When you talk about high turnover, I mean Andy Reid has been with Mahomes since he got drafted, so they got a connection that goes, I mean, back to Mahomes entering his career in the NFL. It's going to be a great game. I don't know, and that's one of the crazy things to say. Oh no, sorry.
Oh no, I interrupted you.
I'll finish just with the fact that I don't think the Chiefs. This is the only year I'm probably going to say this in like the Mahomes era. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up offensively. That's the craziest thing I'm going to say. But in Buffalo, the way Josh Allen's playing, if they put up like 38, is Mahomes going to get them 5 touchdowns? Like, I don't see the Chiefs going in putting up like 30-something points on Buffalo in Buffalo. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I think that I also just I was going to say this, like, I agree with that. And that's why I like the Bills this week. I just am happy that we're getting another Allen Mahomes chapter, right? But the NFL
Brady, man.
Yeah, the NFL needs that, man. They need it. And this Mahomes Burrow talk, I think that's a good one as well. Mahomes, Allen, like the AFC is carrying the NFL in terms of this stuff recently. So
quarterback play for sure.
I just excited for this game. I'm very excited for this week. This is the game I'm probably most excited for, including the Packers.
Yes, sir.
We're going to continue on that trend of saying stuff like that. But all that to say, thanks for listening, guys. Be sure to check us out on social media. And we'll be back next week to recap this and talk about the conference championships, man. It's exciting times. Exciting times. So be sure to check us out. Any closing thoughts?
Go Paco, man. I'm going to be one happy man, like stupid happy. If they get over the hurdle and beat San Fran, can't wait for this weekend.
You got me excited thinking about it. All right, we'll be back next week. Thanks for listening, guys.
Take care.